Let's see. All right. There he is. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Want to welcome in Mr. Jeff Flanagan. Let's test out your audio, Jeff. Are you hearing me? And let's try to hear you. All right, Jeff, you got a little microphone button up top on the top of your controls. We're not hearing you quite yet, but whenever you just chime in so that we know we can hear you, and we'll get started. Just want to thank everybody again for making these sessions possible. We wouldn't be able to do these sessions if people weren't coming to join and take these in. So dirty little secret, putting these sessions together really helps our own individual improvement. So just thanks to everybody. So today, roughing the passer, sorry, deep guys, line of scrimmage guys, umpires, we're going to go a little selfish here and turn inward to referees and center judges in the 8-person crew, and break down the elements of roughing the passer. So, if you haven't seen Corey Luxner's presentation on blindside blocks, I'd encourage you to go check out the replay from the website. And what we're trying to do is build kind of a mold around breaking down the process of what it takes to identify fouls and what it takes to identify, the decision-making aspects of deciding whether it is or isn't a foul. So we're going to see plays that are tight. A lot of these plays maybe will be pretty obvious, but what we're really wanting to talk about and get consistent around is the elements we want to identify to make decisions consistently over time. Okay. One last check for Jeff.
I'm here.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. I was trying to get connected to my laptop and I can't get the audio, but I'm on my phone, so I'm with you.
Well, you sound great, Jeff. So chime in. You've got the screen up and everything, I assume.
I do.
Excellent. Well, let's get started. And, just to start, I've always been kind of jealous of the deep officials and the line of scrimmage guys in terms of talking about pass interference. They've done a great job of creating categories to put pass interference into. And it seems like, once we did that, I didn't do it. Once we did that as an officiating community, it's just helped drive consistency. So I think, we kind of have these informal categories of roughing the passer, but this is how we want to identify actions by players and just start to categorize things, okay? And so just to start, look at, these are really, we're not breaking ground here. I mean, this is pretty obvious: high hits, low hits, and late hits. But let's talk about, the elements that's consistent in each. And really, we're talking about forcible contact, punishing contact. So in other words, for roughing the passer, if we don't have forcible contact or the contact isn't punishing, it just simply can't really be a foul. Okay, so we kind of have to start there. All right, so punishing contact, forcible contact. If that doesn't exist, we really don't have roughing the passer. We talk about high contact. There's really two categories of that. Now, there's a lot of intricacies within each of these categories, certainly, but we have roughing the passer with targeting, and then forcible contact to the head neck area that does not rise to the level of targeting. So we can have a couple different types of high versions of roughing the passer. Okay, and then we have the low hit on the quarterback, forcible contact to the knee area below, must be in a passing posture. And certainly we'll go over that. We'll go over the late, kind of the classic roughing the passer we all think of, those late hits to the quarterback. Talk about punishing avoidable contact after the pass is released. We'll have a lot of good examples of that and talk about how we identify that. And then really, hopefully what we see more often than not is no foul, and it's contact that really isn't punishing or forcible, even if it's high, low, or late to the quarterback after the pass is released, or with the quarterback standing in a passing posture in the pocket. So Jeff, anything to add to these categories? I mean, this is general in nature, but thought we'd just kind of introduce some concepts and then we'll get into the plays. And Jeff, if you're talking, you're on mute. Otherwise, we can't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, there you go.
You got me. Okay, yeah. For years, we had guidelines for like roughing the pass interference, defensive pass interference. There's like 9 categories of that. So this has really helped to make this call a little easier to have these guidelines. I guess the thing that clicked for me when somebody said, asked the question, was the contact avoidable? Intentions of a defender in contact with the quarterback, was that contact avoidable? I think one you might add to it would be after the passer's thrown the ball and you don't really see hard contact, but then there's an unnecessary throwdown on the quarterback. And the other thing is just knowing that roughing the passer has kind of evolved. We don't allow hits on the quarterback now like we used to. Especially any contact to the head, any graze to the face mask, slaps to the head. Years ago, that was considered kind of football, but now with the value that is placed on a quarterback and the value to the team, being the emotional leader, being the guy that the offense is based around, there's a high value on this player in that position, so we really do have to protect him.
Yeah, exactly. That's well said. I mean, every referee breakout session you'll go to, what are they going to stress? Protect the quarterback. So let's get into the plays. Okay, so we're going to start with a couple plays right off the bat, and we'll get several looks. And so we're really going to start in the category of late. So this play, what are we looking for? Basically, the pass is released, and number 18 here of the defense, he just shows us nothing with his body posture that he's trying to avoid punishing the quarterback. And here's the difference. Watch this contact to the quarterback. Certainly, it's actually not as late, but the defender is able to show us a body posture that shows, look, he's trying to avoid punishing the quarterback. Quarterback goes down, he stumbles, he's off balance. But you can see the difference. 18 here, he goes right into the quarterback, intent to punish. And then the player in the other shows us what kind of body language is he showing us, that he kind of spins off, he throws his hands up. He's just not trying to punish the quarterback at all. Okay, so when we talk about defenders' body language when they approach and attack the quarterback, show us something that tells us you're trying to avoid punishing the quarterback. And this is, 18 here, it's just so late. That amount of punishing contact is certainly avoidable. And 26 here from Baylor, he's not as late and he's able to avoid. It's amazing to me, Jeff, how these players can actually avoid, this contact when they're basically set out on not punishing the quarterback versus punishing the quarterback. Have you noticed players in their incredible ability to avoid some of this contact?
Yes, I have actually been ready to grab my flag and throw it, anticipating the contact. And at the last second, they break down or they avoid him, turn and immediately look at you, And I'm just like, thank goodness I didn't throw my flag before the contact just because I was anticipating it. But yes, they do. I think they're trying to put that pressure on the quarterback and make him think he's about to get hit and then break down at the last second. So make sure we need to make sure we see the contact before and not anticipate it as much.
Yeah.
In the throw.
I think you're right. Flag. Officiating the defense and their posture and we don't really officiate intent, but I mean, they can give us with their body mechanics, they can give us signals that shows they're trying to avoid punishing the quarterback. And I think 26 here does a good job. And unfortunately for 18, he didn't do, as good a job. All right. So we move to the next play. This play is going to involve a pull. Okay, we'll get the play up. Here comes the pull. All right, so this is really in the category of late. It's not going to be high, it's not going to be low, but we want to talk about, view the hit to the quarterback after the pass is released and place the elements of the contact into one of the following. You have three options. We have a lot of looks at this play. So one option is the contact to the quarterback is not punishing, and therefore the timing of the hit doesn't matter. Another option is the defender has time to avoid this much punishing contact. And then the third option is the defender does not have time to avoid this much punishing contact. Okay, so we have a lot of looks. And this is basically the referee's angle, which is interesting. We don't always see that on video. All right, so take a look at the play. Cast your vote. And we can break it down. All right. So look at the poll. 80% of us said the defender has time to avoid this much punishing contact to the quarterback. So Jeff, I mean, as you're working this play, what thoughts? Again, that TV replay gives really a good angle that the referee basically has. What thoughts are you thinking, and how do you process this contact in terms of making a decision in terms of, is it punishing, and then could 49 here have avoided this?
I think it's totally avoidable. And if you'll notice how he tries to disguise, the hit in a way to make it look like it wasn't intentional. But you can see he puts his shoulder into him, and then he kind of turns and looks like, oh, that was, So these guys, I can totally anticipate that contact. I think it's late, even in real time. And you notice what the defenders do, though. I mean, I see this in a way, like the hit, that one contact was incidental, but I think it's definitely a foul. Yeah. So, I mean, he could have blown him up if he wanted to, but I think it's still a foul. Right.
So we start with, punishing contact and is the contact, if we deem it not punishing, then we really just can't have a foul. But we've got to have some type of threshold, and that just takes, I think, reps and looking at plays and being out there on the battlefield, so to speak, understanding how much contact that really is in real time. I like your thought of, we can look at these things in slow motion to help confirm our decision making, but we really don't want to get in the habit of practicing these things in slow motion because they'll all look, much later than they really are. However, I think we can agree 49 could have shown us something with either his arms, hold the quarterback up, spin away, just let up somehow. It's amazing what these guys can do. We saw it in that Baylor TCU play earlier. Show us something with your body posture, that tells us you're trying to avoid any type of punishing contact to the quarterback. And unfortunately for the defense, the culture of our game right now, Jeff, I think you'll agree, is if we have doubt on punishing contact or not, we're going to rule the contact punishing. And now we just have to make a decision. Could he have avoided it? And I think we're safe to say here, he could have shown us something to avoid this much punishing contact.
I agree. And also, look how the quarterback went to the dive. He got knocked to the ground. And in order to get hit to go to the ground, it requires a blow. A hit, a blow, not a push or a shove. Quarterbacks sometimes like to flop. But
yeah.
I think this contact was legit and late.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So we can pause there. We're diving into more of the late category, roughing the passer, but pause there. Maybe there's any questions that we can address from the audience.
Yeah, Brandon, let's start with just a mechanical type of question. And you briefly mentioned center judges. Can you discuss maybe what are the center judges' responsibilities, quote unquote, for calling roughing the passer as well? Is it a dual responsibility? Is it primary for the referee? Discuss that a little bit.
Well, I'll start with the mindset of a referee. And the mindset of a referee hasn't changed since the advent of the center judge. Obviously, the referee is going to have an opinion or strive to have an opinion on every single example of contact to the quarterback. Every single time. I don't care if it's on the left sideline, left hash, right, all over the field. The quarterback gets hit. The referee has to have an opinion of that. That's how I approach the game. Now, the center judge, we really want you to kind of mirror that mindset. Certainly on the play we just saw with the number 49 there in the white jersey coming around the left side of the offensive line, man, the center judge, we just got to be focused and dialed in on that. And, if we all agree that that's a foul, hopefully, we can get to the point where consistently we'd have two flags on that, one from the referee and one from the center judge. So I really think with the way the angles present themselves and the way our mechanics are with the referee starting on the right side, the center judge starting on the left side in 8-person mechanics, we really need the center judge to almost mirror the mindset of a referee when it comes to protecting the quarterback. Jeff, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think a couple plays later, we'll have some opportunity to see where the center judge would be of great value in making the call. But I do agree that the referee is always primary on roughing the passer, should always see contact on the passer. But as you'll see in some of the plays later, some of the plays will open up beautifully to the center judge, especially when we have the referee focusing on keying on the right tackle, and you may have some suspect holding going on, and then all of a sudden the quarterback's in the posture and in the pocket and ready to throw, and then there's contact on him. Especially a hands to the face type hits or crown of the helmet to the gut of the quarterback. You can't see if it's crown or not. Yes, I think the center judge should be ready to make that call. I don't think we've done a very good job of teaching center judges how to make that call. I remember that question was asked when the center judge position first came about. And my question was, if we are, we should teach them how to make that call, because oftentimes the center judge are guys that have never worked in the backfield, maybe a back judge or a side judge or a line judge converted to center judge, and you never made that call in your life. So we should do a better job, I think, of teaching you how to make that call. But referee always primary, center judge, yes, you should be able to help.
Very good. Very good. Okay,
All right,
go ahead.
One more thing, Brandon, just to clarify something. When we talk about like kick catch interference, and we've seen the 1 yard. I know it's not per se a halo anymore. Talk about timing and avoiding contact. There's some questions regarding is there a 1 yard situation, or how do you judge timing and things like that?
Yeah, you don't want to know a real scientific answer. It's about feel. I mean, I guess there's a 2-step thought that circles around. Jeff will maybe comment. I don't know how many times you can count steps in real action when you're trying to come off a block and then a defensive jersey flashes to your vision and now there's contact. You got to make a decision. So, to me, late is feel, and again, it's about posture of the defender. So obviously, if the contact is quote bang bang with the pass being released, that's not late. If it's not, now we got to make a decision. And again, if you judge, it's judgment, it's feel. If you judge the defender had time to avoid that, and we're not saying avoid all contact, but to avoid a certain amount of punishing contact, then the output of that judgment is that the hit is late. All right, Jeff, what about any secrets or tips you have to judging late?
Yeah, I agree. 2 steps is usually the rule as far as late hits. But remember, there's certain types of roughing the passer that that's regardless if it's late or not. For example, the head slap,
right,
or a plant. The contact to the head and neck area. It doesn't require it to be late. But as far as a late hit on the passer, the 2-step rule seems to work. Yeah.
And we talk about high hits and low hits, and we'll emphasize this later. Timing does not matter. So in the late category, timing matters. And we talk about late avoidable contact. We throw those words around. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to play 4 and play 5 here. This is going to be a little bit what Jeff referred to earlier in terms of second acts, okay? So maybe, what we see here, and we'll get a lot of good looks. Really, the initial contact by this defender is not late. I mean, certainly he's not late to the quarterback after the pass is released. But now, what does he do with his body posture? What does he do with his body mechanics? He really he makes the decision to drive the quarterback into the ground. We'll see more looks of this coming up. And really, here's the difference watch this Utah State player as we get this crowd shot replay. The quarterback's going to end up being a little bit off balance. And look at what 96 does. I mean, he could have planted that quarterback into the ground. He's off balance. He could have absolutely punished him into the ground, but he kind of just goes to his knees and braces his fall with his hands out to the side, right? So compare these 2 plays. They're really good plays side by side to look at, talk about second acts. Because again, this number 93 in the white jersey, he's not late, but he almost makes a conscious decision to plant and punish the quarterback into the ground. So this is in the category of late because it's really a second act. And again, 93, just give us something, show us something that tells us you're trying to avoid punishing that quarterback to the ground, just like 96 does here. So Jeff, you had kind of alluded to second acts, and maybe the initial timing of the contact was okay, but then, they choose to really punish the quarterback to the ground. Anything to add on that?
Yeah. A plant is a guideline, right? But then there's ways to officiate and identify when a plant is a foul. Well, what seems to work for me is when the defender, if he picks him up and carries him, and takes him to the ground, then we definitely have a plan. But in this one, he doesn't really pick him up and carry him up, an appreciable difference. But what does he do? He puts his full body weight on him.
Yeah.
What we look for in a plant situation to avoid a foul is if the defender hits the quarterback in this manner, but his body weight goes to the side of the quarterback, goes to the ground. And a lot of times if the head is on the side of the quarterback and not inside the quarterback's frame, that's an indicator that he did not put his full body weight on him. So, when we break down guidelines for roughing the passer, then we have guidelines for this type of hit too, So,
That's right. We get into almost subsets of categories. Right. And watch this Baylor player here, number 93 in the white jersey. When he puts his hands on the ground there, that's almost how we want him to take the quarterback to the ground. I mean, I know we've got him wrapped up, but let him go. Try to let him go in midair. If we can give players tips, let him go, embrace your fall, get off to the side so that your full body weight doesn't punish. I mean, that is such a vulnerable position. And in real time, Jeff, I don't know about you. To me, this is one of the hardest aspects of roughing the passer in terms of did he hit, did he land on him with his full body weight? Did he punish him to the ground with his full body weight? Did he brace his fall? It happens fast. We have to really start to get more consistent on, making these decisions.
Yeah, the full body weight on the quarterback, that was the guideline that clicked for me in making this, because, when I saw it on film, I said, well, there is a difference. He is applying full body weight as opposed to when they go to the side. Mm-hmm. And then you can explain why you called it or why you didn't call it. And you saw it and you processed it. You had a way of formulating that decision in your mind.
Very good. All right. So we can, are there any other questions coming through? So we talk about late hit on the quarterback, and then we have subsets of late hits, second acts, those types of things. So any more questions?
So yeah, Brandon, we talked about body weight. It's not necessarily in the rule book. There was a question regarding, since it's not in the rule book, how do we use that? And I think what you're saying is that's more of an indicator, not necessarily a deciding factor. Can you discuss that?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I don't think the rules maker's job is to, lay out every possible scenario in the rule book for us. So we know that intent to punish is really the guideline. So if the contact is punishing, then, that's why we're on the field, to make these judgments. It's just like pass interference. You don't lay out all the categories of DPI in the rule book. I know we do I think in the mechanics manual, but we have these guidelines so that we can become more consistent. And that player, in the white jersey, number 93, who was attempting to sack the quarterback in the end zone, it's pretty clear that he wraps the quarterback up, and then absolutely his intent is to punish him to the ground. And we have to make that judgment. So we look for indicators. What is he trying to do to avoid that punishing contact? Is he trying to get his hands out and brace his fall? Is he trying to spin off to the side, like Jeff said? And in the absence of any of those positive indicators, meaning no foul, it really becomes, our only conclusion is that his intent was to punish. So that's the kind of communication we want to have with coaches and players about what we're looking for in terms of trying to keep them legal. Certainly we're not saying you can't touch the quarterback. I know that's a fancy little narrative out in the media, and these, all these former defensive players say put a flag on him, play two-hand touch. That's not what we're saying. I mean, you can touch the quarterback. Just show us you're trying to avoid punishing him, and hopefully we can become more consistent making those decisions. Any other questions?
I think, that's a great question. That used to frustrate me so much, is that the rule for roughing the passer and the rule for roughing the kicker are very vague.
Yeah.
They have cleaned it up a bit for us over the years, but if you look at the section 4 of Article 9 on roughing the passer there, it does say that punishes the player. And, that is subjective, what you think is punishing, but that's the whole thing about this presentation today, is to help you process that and see what is generally accepted as punishing. And, we say full body weight. The book says punishing, So they have addressed it, but not in the detail that I would like to see it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, keep asking questions. We're rolling through. We're going to move on. Now, we're still in the category of late. But this time, let's talk about quarterbacks on the run, because these can be challenging. So immediately we have a quarterback here. He's going to sprint out, and then there's a pretty big collision there at the sideline, okay? So we'll talk about what we're looking for, and then we'll break the play down in terms of coverage of mechanics. Okay, so the quarterback sprints out, and here comes this big hit. Same guidelines really apply. Now, look, he's a runner, so he doesn't – does our protection, lax a little bit when he's a runner outside of the pocket? I think certainly we give the defense a little bit more grace, but there's still an element that the defense has to avoid punishing contact if they can. Now on this play, if the quarterback wants more protection, he's either got to get down or angle himself more out of bounds. This quarterback is really just holding on to the ball to the last second. The hit is on time. It's in a proper target zone. So this is really, we would deem this a legal play, even though it's a bit ugly. Now, if the defender goes high right here with the same timing, that would be high contact to the quarterback. That would put us into a different category of roughing the passer. And that would potentially be a foul if we deem that high contact forcible. All right, so we'll take questions later, but let's break down mechanics right quick. You talk about 8-person mechanics. The referee really starts on the right side, concerned with these 4 players. Umpire starts in the middle, concerned with, really it ends up being on this play 5 players, okay? 3 in dark and 2 in white. And then the center judge off to the left side of the offense, concerned with those 4 players. So it really creates a nice start of overlapping coverage at the snap: referee, umpire, and center judge. All right, so that's really how we start every play. We want to overlap. The fallacy that the referee has the right tackle, the center judge the left tackle, let's just get away from that for now. Okay, the play happens, and we got to adjust our coverage. So now look at number 99 of in white there. The center judge is really going to be focused on that block. At this point, we know it's a play fake because we already know the result of the play, but at this point it's show and run. Umpire, look inside. Number 90, defensive hold threat, okay? Referee, working that side. And that really, we always create this little triangle at the point of attack between the umpire, referee, and center judge. All right, so that's kind of how our coverage starts. Now, quarterback keeps the ball, so coverages adjust, right? And immediately we see number 12 from the defense threatening the quarterback with the football. So referee basically forgets about everything else in his life, so to speak, and his focus is solely on number 12 threatening the quarterback. All right, now we want to get in the habit, referees and center judges, when these quarterbacks roll out and get flushed out, transition from an outside perspective to now working the play inside out. Okay, just let the quarterback roll underneath of you like this and develop yourself into an inside-out angle. All right, now look at this. Once the quarterback gains space from this guy, you can almost bet this guy is almost going to be a non-factor in the play. And we have to shift our attention to players more threatening the quarterback from a downstream, downfield, kind of a downhill perspective. Okay, so forget about the guy chasing, and let's turn our attention to these players threatening from the downhill. And that's basically what happens, as this player from more downhill, out in the flat tends to threaten the quarterback. So as we think, I want to reiterate from the referee perspective, a lot of us, I think in the past, or maybe even currently, we try to chase and try to beat this quarterback out to the edge, and that really just stresses our ability to see any level of acute detail at all. So just stay under control, move out to the side like this, and then you just really want this angle right here to process all the detail of this contact that you can. And whether, you're standing where this referee is, in a very athletic position, obviously, or at the numbers, this is basically going to be the same angle. The point is, don't fight so hard to get to the sideline, because really you do more harm than good to be able to process any level of detail. Okay. So we've got another play for a rollout quarterback, and then maybe we can just talk, maybe we can talk and answer questions. So that was really a legal hit to the quarterback, although it was a collision, a significant collision at the sideline. But it was on time. It was in a proper target zone, and it wasn't really that avoidable. Okay, here's the difference. So we get a play, quarterback goes to the left, and now look at the difference in terms of what the defender can do, with his body posture and his body mechanics. So quarterback gets flushed out. Center judge picks up a nice call for holding. We'll get some really good TV replays. Watch number 23 of the defense. All right, good mechanics by our sideline officials, ruling that a catch. There's a good, detailed shot of the hold. Quarterback gets flushed out. Now watch, 23 has a decision. Again, it's like a broken record. He can give us some signal that you're trying to avoid just running through the quarterback after he's released the ball. We understand he's on the run, but even the quarterback gives us body posture that he's setting up to pass. 23. Move off to the side, wrap him up, hold him up, do something that shows you're avoiding punishing the quarterback after the pass is released. And right here, I think this is a clear difference between, the last play in Hawaii and this play, where basically that hit was on time in target. And this is a good target zone, but clearly avoidable. All right. So let's talk about mechanics on this play. All right, this really shapes up into a 3 defensive front. So referee, notice right here, all this space between the right tackle and that player. Let's not get our vision on 61. Let's move our vision inside more to the right guard matchup. Umpire obviously in the middle with the center judge over here to the left on this double team. Okay, this is really interesting on how this play mechanically transpires. Okay, we get a really significant bull rush by the nose guard, knocking the center off balance. Now watch what the umpire has to deal with. He's going to feel pressure. He's going to feel pressure from this, what is probably like a drag route over the middle or something. So he moves immediately, and that probably serves to almost distract him from seeing the appropriate amount of detail of what turns into a very nice call for holding by the center judge. Center judge has a double team, 1-2 right there. What is he going to do? Get off of it, find something else to work. He transitions down inside, sees all the detail of that left hand of the center, pulling that guy down. Okay, so great. Now we've got holding. Now let's keep officiating. We have to keep officiating. Referee, same thing. Get off this stalemate, transition inside, pick up this foul for holding. We can have 2 flags. If the umpire wasn't distracted, we might have had 3 flags. Obvious reverse takedown. Now, referee, okay, great. Got the foul for holding. Again, keep officiating. What do we know? We're going to roll out. We have to look downhill. Where is the threat going to come from next to the quarterback? Because that's basically all we're worried about right now. Quarterback on the move. Where's the threat going to come from? Look downhill. It's either going to come from basically right where number 23 is, or even more outside from that orange logo. And if we can pick up these threats early, it puts us in a better position from the referee and center judge, position to properly evaluate the timing of this play. And unfortunately for number 23, it felt like he could have just avoided that contact, at least that significant punishment. So Jeff, 2 plays side by side, running quarterbacks, tough plays. What other tips do you have on these?
Well, I think your point on the mechanics is what caught my eye about this, because I'm not sure. I think the referee may have been in on that hold too. So if he was, there you go. You're focused on a hold, but then you still have primary responsibility on the quarterback. And I don't think the center judge threw roughing the passer on this, right?
Right, not on this one. Yep.
Yeah, it could have, and it went to the opposite side, went to the center judge's side of the field. But we can't let the center judge make that call on his own.
That's right.
I think the referee has to get there, has to see it, continue to officiate, just like you said, and take primary responsibility for the passer. It would be easy to lay back and say, well, he's scrambling. I got a center judge over there. But that's not the way the mechanics are. I think we go wherever the quarterback goes and keep officiating, just like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think, quarterback on the move out of the pocket just presents a whole new level of complexity to making these calls, making these judgments. So let's pause for any potential questions from the audience.
Hey, Brandon, Jeff, really good stuff. Just have some question and conversation about the degree of protection and how it evolves
Hey,
as.
Brandon, talk a little bit about the play at the sideline. I know we're going back a couple plays, but let's say the quarterback decides to pull up and dump the ball instead of continuing to run outside, out of bounds. Talk about the contact that you would expect there and how you would maybe change your evaluation if the quarterback pulled up at the sideline rather than continue to run out.
Well, again, I mean, we're going to use the same guidelines that we've been talking about, so the quarterback carrying the ball outside the pocket. So we give a little more leeway to the defense, but that doesn't mean it's just a free hit. If the quarterback pulls up with significant and then releases the ball, and then again, there's significant time to make our judgment that the defender could have avoided any significant punishing contact, then it certainly becomes the potential for a foul for roughing the passer. I mean, that's really, if you look at it, that's kind of what happened in the BYU Tennessee play. Quarterback is out. Certainly the defender's going to attack him to try to prevent him from gaining additional yardage. Quarterback pulls up, throws the ball. Defender, in our judgment, has significant time to avoid that much punishing contact. Again, we're not saying you have to avoid all contact. We know it's a dynamic sport, unbelievable athletes. Just show us something that you're trying to avoid significant punishing contact. So, a lot of what ifs on quarterbacks that roll out, because again, that puts a whole new layer of complexity into this. But so if the Hawaii quarterback, sets up, dumps the ball, and then in our judgment, we have time that the defender could have avoided punishing contact, it certainly has the potential to become a foul. I'll say with the same timing of the Hawaii play, if that same timing, he throws the ball with the exact same timing, the contact is with the same timing. If that contact is forcible to the helmet of the quarterback, again, we definitely now have a potential for a high hit. And as Jeff talked about earlier, high hits, we don't have that level, we don't have that extra late. I mean, we can have it high and late, and that's certainly a double whammy. But a high hit by itself, even if it's not quote unquote late, can rise to the level of roughing the passer. So interesting question. Not sure I totally covered it, but we can do a lot of what ifs on those plays.
Sure. And that's good. Another thing to talk about when we talk about not chasing the quarterback, letting the quarterback go by. There was a question also about maybe going straight up the hash or going further upfield. Talk about how do you feel that out? How do you work that process as the quarterback is running towards the sideline? How do we feel? What's the correct way to position ourselves there?
Yeah, it's all about angles. So when the quarterback rolls out, and it's hard to have. Wish we had better examples on the screen, but quarterback rolls out. We really want to get that. Basically, it's like that old baseball umpire adage, I think, and I'm not a baseball umpire, but maybe you guys will correct me. Kind of want that 90-degree angle of all the elements, right? So if we need to move up so that we can really get a better angle at the point of contact between the defense and the quarterback, then move up. If we need to move laterally, move laterally. Yes, the two options really are to move up, like almost more towards the defensive side of the ball, or to move laterally, just depending on how the angle sets up. What we really want to try to avoid, which I think we really all used to do, what we really want to try to avoid is backing out so much that we really get ourselves straight lined between, in other words, we're looking almost through the back of the quarterback, and then we just don't have the level of detail necessary with our vision to make any accurate judgment on where the contact is, how late it is, and those types of aspects. So move up or move laterally, but we just want to maintain that 90-degree angle as much as possible. And we can't give one answer that fits every situation, because you're going to have defenders coming, from different angles. You're going to have quarterbacks scrambling at different angles. The bottom line is just don't move out towards the sideline. That puts yourself in a position behind the quarterback. You risk getting straight lined.
Good deal. Keep rolling, Brandon.
Daniel, was there another question?
No, Brandon, that was the same stuff.
Gotcha. I see you guys are like-minded today, except for the fact, you got to figure out how to work that mute button so you don't talk to each other. So.
Yeah, I think it's my first time.
Very good. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to go into the category of high hits. All right. So put a poll up, and we'll have the play looping. And so these plays are going to be pretty obvious. The poll doesn't really have to do with the play. Okay. These are going to be two examples of roughing the passer with targeting. Really good calls on the field and all of that. But look at the poll. It's just a true or false. When in a passing posture, forcible contact to the quarterback's head neck area must be ruled roughing the passer with targeting. So it's just a true, false, simple. The plays, again, this doesn't have to do with the poll doesn't have to do with the plays. These are just really good examples of what is clear and obvious roughing the passer with targeting. All right, so cast your votes. If you have quarterback in a passing posture, forcible contact to the quarterback's head neck area must be ruled roughing the passer with targeting. True or false? And we'll just let these plays loop. Jeff, I was so deathly afraid of when targeting really became a thing, 5, 6 seconds, whatever that was. Man, I was I had anxiety about having roughing the passer with targeting. I don't know what it was, and I guess I still kind of do, because it's not the easiest call in the world depending on angles. But how did you adjust to the different rule when they layered in targeting?
I mean, I felt the same way, because you don't want to announce only targeting. If you had roughing the passer, we were kind of locked into whether, did you announce roughing and
Right.
targeting, or do you just announce targeting, or whatever? I mean, yeah, that used to scare me. Or call targeting when it wasn't there.
Yeah.
You got a nice high hit to the quarterback, and you think it's targeting, and videos shows it's not. So yeah, lots of anxiety, and it still is. What play are you about to show? Are you doing 10 and 11 or 8? Or?
Yeah. I'll loop back to 8 and 9 here in a second.
Okay, but now with the center judge back there, I feel a little more comfortable. Yeah.
Sure.
But I still think we need to be careful how we announce it. But I think, again, roughing the passer's evolved a little bit, because some of these blows to the head with the hands that aren't really blows, are like head slaps or face mask grabs. I think in the past, in the past, I've been in a game where I had a situation like that, and replay came in and ruled targeting. And I don't think they do that anymore with those types of hits.
And that's a great segue, Jeff. I'll end this poll. So look, wasn't trying to be tricky with the poll, so apologize if maybe it wasn't clear. But really, I mean, the correct answer is false. And 62% of us said if he's a defenseless player, forcible contact to the head neck area must be targeting. But think about what Jeff just said. We can have head slaps that are forcible to the quarterback's head, and that's not necessarily targeting. So if we're going to have targeting, like these two plays just showed, we have to have an indicator present. Okay, so wasn't trying to be tricky to apologize for that, but let me show some more plays here. And here's really the difference between, we're going to get on this play as it loads up. We're going to get on this play, certainly contact to the head of the quarterback, and it's forcible. But evaluate this play, and thank you, Mike. We'll take it from here. No worries, Mr. Pereira. We got it. All right. So look at number 10 of the defense. Now, do we have any targeting indicators present? You know, I think we could have a long discussion about that, but just for the sake of time, no, there's no targeting indicators present. Is there forcible contact to the quarterback's head? Yes. Is the contact late? Doesn't matter. If we have forcible contact to the quarterback's head, and he's, you know, certainly in a passing posture, it's not like he's a runner or anything like that. Okay, that is roughing the passer, but it's not targeting. We got to have an indicator like we saw in the previous two plays. So I hope the previous two plays we showed where they looped and there was clear and obvious targeting to the quarterback's helmet. To the quarterback's, you know, head and neck area. I hope we can see the difference, you know, Jeff. So, man, these are tough though. I can understand we call in targeting on this play because obviously it's significant contact to the quarterback's head, but you know, what are you trying to coach yourself on in terms of looking for indicators from the defense?
Yeah, there you go. There's the play that will cause you a lot of anxiety right there.
That's right.
You don't know whether to call roughing the passer or roughing the passer with targeting. You know, and if they come in and take the targeting off, I mean, you're set. You call roughing the passer, and you're like, so all helmet collisions to this player are not necessarily targeting.
That's right. And Jeff, we're losing
intentional and do not have the I'm sorry.
No, we're losing your audio was breaking up just a little bit, but yeah, I think it's clear. You know, we just have to. I mean, the decision-making process is tough here. We get a split second. If we don't see an indicator, now look, if we have doubt on targeting and we're just kind of wrestling with ourselves, the rule says if we have doubt, you know, call targeting, and certainly we have our replay partners to take a look at the play, and then they have to confirm all aspects of it to keep the targeting, you know, foul on. So if we have doubt on targeting, let's call targeting. But in this play, we break this down. There's just no targeting indicator present. I mean, I understand there's contact to the quarterback's helmet. It's almost incidental contact, but it's forcible enough to rise to the level of roughing the passer. All right. So then what else can we have in terms of forcible contact to the quarterback's head that's not targeting, but rises to the level of roughing the passer? And, you know, we put this play up. These test our mechanics too. You know, we want to see everything on the field, but man, from the referee and even center judge position, we just have to be careful of leaving action too quickly when there's a threat. So watch, quarterback scrambles a little bit, defender goes up to block the pass, and then, you know, Jeff, he comes down with that left hand, and that certainly is forcible to the quarterback's head. And now maybe not so much late, but certainly forcible to the quarterback's head, rises to the level of roughing the passer, but nothing even we would consider remotely close to targeting. So, what do you see on this play, Jeff?
Okay, this is the Georgia Baylor. Yeah, this is, you got a contact to the head, right? No doubt that's by today's standards roughing the passer. But my concern on this play was the mechanics. I don't think the referee could see it. If you'll I'll watch ace mode here, and the referee's keying on him. The pass is thrown, you get the contact, but look where the big tackle is. He's obstructing the referee's vision right there. I don't think the referee sees this. That's where the center judge, I would rely on him heavily to make this call. And I would hope, and I'm going to do this year. I'm going to show more plays like this to my center judge and get him comfortable with making this call, because that's a crusader right there. And I just don't. I think the referee's just a victim of his position right there. You just can't see it.
Yeah, it's a great point. And as referees, always the debate mechanically in terms of movement is: do we move to our left? Do we move to our right? Do we stay still? we just have to work somehow to see this. And I agree with you. I think center judge, this opens up great to the center judge. So center judges, we want to be careful. I know we like to get out and go get the ball spotted and all that, but man, let's stay back here with us and help us protect the quarterback. So really good play right there. And by the way, they called that really good call on the field. I believe it was the Big Ten officials stepping up, making the call. So guys, any questions that have come up from the chat?
Hey, Brandon, we got a lot of different guys working at different levels in the session today. Do you have any advice or tips for those guys that are trying to work through that really challenging RPS with targeting question? We don't officiate with replay as a safety net, but at the end of the day, it's something that supports us. Any advice for them about how to navigate that area without replay?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. It's what we talked about in terms of just practicing, getting reps with video on how to identify the body posture of defenders in terms of, how do we recognize those high risk indicators? Is the head dipped? Is he launching, with the purposes of taking aim and attacking the defenseless player to the head and neck area? I mean, there's a lot of video examples, so we just have to keep practicing. But look, the rule is clear. If we have doubt, when in doubt, if we have doubt that it's targeting, we call targeting. I mean, that's not an out, but these plays can be tough. This isn't a philosophy. It's by rule. If we have doubt, we call targeting. We certainly want to strive to be as accurate as we can, but if it looks like there's a high risk indicator present by the defense and there's forcible contact to the head and neck area of a defenseless player, let's call targeting. I mean, that's what's clear by rule. Jeff, I mean, what other advice would you give?
Well, I saw somebody's comment here about in Division 2 or 3, you can't call it if you don't see it because you don't have replay. I feel the same way. If I don't see it, I don't call it. So.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not making it up as we go. We're going to see the action, and if we see a high risk indicator present by the player delivering the hit, and then we see forcible contact to the head and neck area of a defenseless player, that's targeting.
I use the indicators to help me make the call, but even if I see an indicator, if I don't see the contact, I mean, I don't make the call. I don't guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Brandon, because we have to be careful in that situation that we don't let the lever swing so far to where we're not calling targeting when we should, because we don't want to incorrectly disqualify a player. But remember, the rule is designed to get these acts out of our game and to protect the student athletes. So you really just have to lean on the rule and that when in doubt part. And then I think the other piece is looking for those indicators and just getting very comfortable with how to recognize those. Okay, good stuff, guys. Real quick, one more question relative to the high hit that maybe isn't targeting. What does your announcement sound like that? Do you mention that there was high contact? How do you work through that piece of it? Like I think it was the USC hit where he was high, but he had his head to the side, no indicators.
Yep. Yeah. I think conferences are handing down directives on that. So let's follow the lead of our coordinators. If you're 100%, I'm of the mindset that you just go for it. I mean, if you want to say, roughing the passer, defense number 23 for the contact to the quarterback's helmet, if you're 100% on that and you want to go for it, in my opinion, go for it. Now, the risk, of course, is that you're wrong. Okay. And there's risk. There's risk with every announcement. There's risk with every call we make. It speaks to let's call what we see and don't guess. I've included that in my announcement. Jeff, what about you? Nope, maybe we lost him. Okay, no worries. Oh, go ahead. Jeff, we might be just cutting in and out. No worries. So I think, yeah, we're just, your audio's cutting in and out a little bit.
Okay.
Jeff. No worries. So, if you're really follow the lead of your coordinator and the way your conference wants referees to make announcements. But, if you're just talking to me personally, which is just kind of what this is just a bunch of guys talking football, and I'm 100% on it, I will add roughing the passer, defense number 23 for the contact to the quarterback's helmet, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. Okay. So let's move into the low category now. So we've talked about late, we've talked about high. Let's talk about low. And these can be just as challenging. The first play we're going to see is pretty much as classic of a low hit to the quarterback as you can have. All right. Unabated rusher. Look, he stumbles a little bit, but the onus is on him to avoid forcible contact to the quarterback's knee area or below. Knee area or below. All right. We don't want to make calls up around the waist, but we don't have to be so technical that it's, if it's a millimeter above the kneecap, we pass on it either. It's knee area or below. So look at this player, certainly quarterback in a passing posture. He's set up, and then there's forcible contact. Now, let's make sure the video plays a little bit better. All right, we'll just see that. All right, so here was the first play. Sorry for the technical difficulty there. And again, passing posture, defender unabated, forcible contact to the knee area below. So all the elements of a low hit to the quarterback are present. This is the risk. Now, when the next play comes up, thank you for your patience. Right here, what do we have? Really not an unabated rusher. Clearly, fighting off a block. And look at the posture of the defensive line. Now, we could debate whether that's forcible contact to the knee area or below. I'm going to say it is. It doesn't take a whole lot. Certainly the quarterback's in a passing posture, but this is a defender being blocked into the quarterback. So that's the difference between an unabated rusher, basically on his own. The onus is on him to avoid this. And then you have this defender who's, you could also argue, is they're holding there, whatever. Certainly we would not put the onus on this defender. He has no intent at all to really even hit the quarterback. He hits him low just as a result of the block. Okay, so two plays side by side showing an unabated rusher into the quarterback, passing posture, forcible contact to the knee or below. Now, little tougher play. Let's put this up. This is the last play of the day, and we have a poll, so stay with me. All right, here we go. A lot of looks at this. Okay, check out the poll. So this is like the grand finale here, or whatever, big finish. A lot of looks at this. Quarterback starts in the pocket, kind of gets flushed out a little bit. Contact, low. And again, we talk about, we don't quibble. We don't try to be so technical that the contact is, an inch above the kneecap. It's knee area or below is what the rule asks. So view the hit to the quarterback after the pass is released and place the elements of the contact into one of the following. All right. Your choices: quarterback is in a passing posture and contact is forcible to the knee area. Quarterback is not in a passing posture. The defender did not have time to avoid this much punishing contact. Another option is quarterback is not in a passing posture. The defender did have time to avoid this much punishing contact. So we're kind of working that late element in there. And then the final option is quarterback releases the ball from out of the pocket so the defense may legally hit him low. Okay, a lot of looks. We'll look at this play. A lot of good discussion. Interesting play. And again, man, the worst thing an official can do is be surprised. So think about the referee's mechanics here, working the right side, checking down, quarterback starts to move, and then all of a sudden, bam, and you really have to make a decision. And this is where, again, the center judge can really help us out in terms of communicating the different elements that we're talking about. Okay, so I'll end the poll. I am going to get the video going again. Such a good play. Talk about the poll results. Okay, so 66, 2/3 of us are saying quarterback is in a passing posture and contact is forcible to the knee area, all right? And then almost, the other, I guess, small majority are saying quarterback is not in a passing posture and the defender did not have time. So in other words, 2/3 say it's a foul and about a quarter of us say it's not. Let's just eliminate the quarterback releases the ball from out of the pocket so the defense may legally hit him low. So the pocket has nothing to do with the rule as it relates to low hits on the quarterback, okay? It's all about passing posture. That's really what we're judging here. And this is tough. I mean, quarterback's on the move. He plants his feet. The defender commits. And then there's a big collision low. Jeff, talk about what you see on this play. And I know we already kind of discussed this play, you and I together. So go ahead if you're back and
Can you hear me?
Break it down. We can hear you great.
Okay, good. I see a quarterback on the run. I don't see a quarterback stopping and planning to throw. I personally don't think he's in the posture because he's running. There's some question as to whether he's on one or both feet. And then the contact, I'm not so sure it's at the knees. Is it at the thigh?
Yeah. And that's where, you talk about.
I'm looking for a quarterback to stop,
right,
plant, throw, with his feet on the ground.
Exactly.
So I may have passed on the low aspect of that one.
I
may be wrong. I may have gotten busted, for it, but that's just the way I see it on film.
I agree. And it almost feels like this should be a foul because of the degree of contact, but we got to give the defense a chance too. I mean, he's moving and there's an element of him setting his feet briefly, but he's still really on the move. He's kind of rolling out and all of a sudden he just pulls up and throws the ball. In this RPO environment we're in, how can we tell the defense to lay off this? I think we all agree it's not late because pretty much when he starts to try to set his feet, the defense is already committed right there. He's already committed. And it's just, I think to me on this play, again, working it live, breaking it down, it's just a stretch to say, is this really a passing posture? To me, this more looks like a quarterback on the run versus a quarterback set up to pass. And it's close. It is really close. These are so hard. And the worst thing we can do is get surprised by this and just guess, so we need a good look from the center judge here, which it looks like we have. Referee got to transition over there and see this, what we would, refer to as kind of a breach by the defense. And, he's coming in almost unabated. Tough play, can understand differing opinions, but at least talking about these two referees on the call, Jeff and I, we kind of see this as the quarterback not really reestablishing into a passing posture, but we also agree that it's very, very close. Anything to add, Jeff, before we take more questions?
No, I believe we have nothing to add here.
Very good. All right. So we've looked at 14 plays. Good work in the chat, good work on the polls. Interesting plays. Some of them were obvious, some of them not so obvious, but what questions are there?
Man, I think that you guys covered this exceptionally well. I don't have any more questions for us. I don't know if Tuta wants to jump in with anything, but I think you guys did a great job on touching on a lot of different aspects and kind of working through some of the challenging aspects of the rule. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Brandon, thank you, and you can take us home, I think.
All right, awesome. Well, it's looks like we're 8 minutes past the hour, so maybe a little long, but a lot of content, jammed a lot of plays into the session. You know, Jeff, really, really appreciate you coming on, man. I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, my pleasure, and thanks so much to the Big 12 and the CFO West putting this on and sharing this with everybody. You know, I've been on some of these other webinars, and I've seen as many as 400 people on them. So there's definitely an appetite out there for training. And just my final thought on this would just take ownership of this call as a referee. Get there, see it any way you can, study your guidelines, watch this kind of video, and train your center judge to help you out. And thanks for letting me be involved in this. This is what I live for. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Jeff. You know, I always just really enjoy catching up with you at clinics, talking football. All your experience, I'm not trying to say anything about your age, man, but all your experience, man, is so beneficial to the officiating community. So I really appreciate you coming on. All right. So
I am old, but I appreciate it.
It's all good. Okay, more sessions coming up. You know, what do we have next? We have Catch, No Catch Friday at 7 p.m. Central. And then we'll get right into the weekend with a jam-packed schedule, reverse mechanics Saturday, another video-based session Sunday, and then back here Wednesday for the line of scrimmage. So a lot of good topics coming up. Thanks again, everybody, and make it a great day. Appreciate you.